Welcome to Los Angeles, where tonight it's an AUDL Saturday showcase in the West Division. The Seattle Cascades at 4-3, coming off a heartbreaking loss last night, taking on the Los Angeles Aviators, 4-4 after a split last week in the Bay Area. And after last night's San Diego Growlers comeback, things really tightening up in the West Division. San Francisco and San Jose, they're underway, going head-to-head tonight in the Bay Area. And the LA Aviators are looking at winning tonight and being in third place, or losing tonight and falling into fifth place. And with that, we welcome you in. He's Chuck Kindred. I am Evan Lepler. And last night in San Diego, a game that we're still kind of decompressing over because it was nuts. 11-3 San Diego run to finish the game, and Seattle lost 21-20. How do they bounce back from that today?
Well, they're tired. They're a little short-staffed, but these guys have tons of heart. They're very positive. They feed off each other's energy. I think if anybody can do it, it's this team. And don't forget, they came down here last year in the playoffs, ran the table, smoked San Francisco on Sunday after beating LA on Saturday. Never count Seattle out.
They've got a track record of surprising teams on the road like Los Angeles. Mark Burton, the emotional leader behind the Seattle team, he was really disappointed last night. He took it perhaps as personally as anybody. We'll show you his playmaking skills, but it's going to be a mentality thing for him today, trying to take charge with a shorthanded roster.
Right, and he's got the heart of a champion. There's no doubt that he's upset about losing last night. The game was within their grasp. He played well, but not his best, according to him. And also, he got fiery. He's a guy that generally is very easygoing. He got upset. He thought they were coughing the game up. And, I got a chance to talk to him. That's a difficult thing to do, but as a leader, it's important that he set the standard for the team.
Seattle's Khalif El-Salam was a +6 last night. They do not have him available. That puts more of a burden on Burton.
Absolutely, and Burton's up to the task. I don't expect to see any problems at all from him. He's just an offensive guru, great throws, great cuts, and just super steady. We'll see what the energy on the team is like, and we'll see if Burton gives himself permission to relax after a tough loss last night.
Yeah, and the second day of a back-to-back, you typically think about energy in the second half. Today, the energy in the first half, and we'll see their emotions after last night. For this Los Angeles team, Brian Wynn has taken a huge step forward this year. He leads the team in plus-minus. He leads the team in goals, and they consider him one of the fastest guys, not just on the team, Chuck, but in the entire league. They think he's that good.
Yeah, it's no doubt. He's an elite sprinter. I think over 40 yards, you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who's going to come out in front of Brian Wynn. But, I got the chance to be on the LA scene when he was coming up, and he used to just be a speed mismatch. That is just not the case anymore. He's trouble all over the field, very steady with the disc, always making the right decisions. He's turning into a bit of a leader as well.
When they throw up a 50-50 disc, they're very confident he's going to come down with it, and he has an even bigger role today. No Mark L. Bogan. Sad news, the Aviator superstar tore his ACL a couple weeks ago. He will not play. And no Alan Lai, their primary distributor. But they've got Tom Doy, a new addition. They've got Eli Friedman in his second year on the team, and Brian Wynn leading the way. Fans were filing in about an hour before the opening pull, which is now just moments away. The Cascades and the Aviators. AUDL Saturday night coming up. It's a gorgeous night for Ultimate here in Los Angeles. The Cascades, a heartbreaker last night in San Diego. Seattle beginning this game on offense. Mark Burton, Adam Simon leading the way. Bryson Simon Fox with his first touch. And here's Aldis Ruth, the 19-year-old. Seattle, so important for them tonight to try to get off to a good start You know, LA has more gas in the tank. The question is, does Seattle have enough gas in the tank? So far, so good. Burton picks up where he left off in the first quarter last night, over the top to the end zone.
Right, and you know, I had the error of making the joke that there's no weather in San Diego, and it turns out there's quite a bit of swirling wind. You can see tonight, though, Burton able to knock in a really tight margin there for that hammer.
More gas in the tank. The question is, does Seattle have enough gas in the tank? So far, so good. Burton picks up where he left off in the first quarter last night, over the top to the end zone.
Right, and you know, I had the
You sounded even more intelligent the second time. Me, I'm not sure.
Hey, I love listening to the sound of my own voice. Sometimes I'll call myself just to hear the voicemail.
Los Angeles with, well, obviously a different team from last year. Tommy Lee, the first goal for Seattle. The story for the Aviators is an interesting one because a lot of their key guys, especially in the D-line, went and played for the San Diego Growlers. But they added a guy like Tom Doy. They have added a variety of young talent in this LA metro area that they're very excited about. And guys have just developed. And Tom Doy might be as big of an offseason addition as any team can make in the league.
No doubt, Tom Doy is a world-class talent. It's a question of whether they can integrate the pieces quickly. Last year, I think there was a little bit of a learning curve with Eli Friedman. He's into his, I think, second year. Is that right? So, I mean, it's a question of whether they can get the most out of these two guys. They are elite pieces, and you can see they're looking pretty settled here on their first offensive possession.
Eric Listener to Brent George for the Aviators' quick counter. Brent George with an easy catch this time. Of course, he made the #1 play in the entire league last week, a Superman-style layout grab in their trip to the Bay Area.
So sick, trailing edge, kind of lays out over his right shoulder and just plucks it out of the air. That was so fun.
Los Angeles, coached by Franklin Rowe in his 3rd season. And the Aviators know this is kind of a make or break game. They're coming into this thing right at 500. After a split last week in the Bay Area. Of course, their rivals in San Diego got a win last night, moving to the 500 mark. So San Diego's at 5-5. LA enters tonight at 4-4.
It's going to be a dogfight for 3rd place in the West. I mean, it's still time for one of the Bay Area teams to falter.
Oh, that just deflected, but Bryson Simon Fox able to get there. Right now in the Bay Area, San Francisco is all over San Jose. 14-5 in the first half, all FlameThrowers.
That is a statement.
And the game's first turnover here. The dump too far for Burton.
So good pressure there from the Aviators defense, not allowing Seattle to settle down and get easy resets around the disc. These guys are tired, so if you bother the reset, that's supposed to be the easy part.
Looking deep. Intended for Josiah Mort, and he goes around Burton, and they ruled him out of bounds.
Seems like the right call.
Said he was out of bounds perhaps when he leapt.
Yeah, it was an interesting play. Mark couldn't see the disc. They're looking kind of right up into the sun, and I think Mark really didn't know where it was, just held position. Arguably fouled him.
One turnover per side on this point. Adam Simon lets it rip. Brad Hauser runs it down in the end zone. Chicken still got it. That was a shot.
Yeah, Chicken doing what he does, man. He makes receivers happy. I mean, he's a guy, if you got to step deep and you're hungry to make a catch, he's been putting bombs like that up for a decade. So here's a replay. See, definitely out of bounds. I think if you can see right before, Mark was giving him a little encouragement to be out of bounds there.
It's interesting. The near referee called him in, and the end zone referee called him out.
Yeah, certainly not the best angle, but he was right. Certainly was out of bounds. And here's the shot. I'm not sure what happened on D there. It looked like the defender let up. Maybe lost it in the sun. I'm not sure.
Now, you mentioned our conversation with Mark Burton last night, and he was definitely hurt. He takes the losses personally. He felt like he really could have played much better in the second half. He said, I just have to do more. I have to take charge. And at the same time, he said, look, it's sports. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You enjoy the night, you have a drink, you come out ready to go tomorrow. And that was basically the mentality he was trying to impose upon his team.
Well, that's a very positive look on it. My dad used to say, son, losers lose.
But here you are right now, finding a career even though you couldn't play very well.
You bounce back in life, I guess.
Tom Doy shoots it to the end zone. How about the Aviators offense so far?
Yeah, they look sharp and relaxed. That's a good sign, you know, because that loss at home last year in the playoffs still has to sting a little bit for some of these guys. That was a big spanking from Seattle in front of the home crowd. A lot of people were, you know, I was excited to see them kind of maybe pull the upset and go head-to-head against San Francisco, and there was just none of that. Great look here down the line from Doy. Good touch. Kind of got it off. It looked like a kind of a lazy mark there. Doy took full advantage.
And if you're not familiar with Brent George, he's a guy that the Aviators are super high on. I was chatting with Mark L. Bogan before the game, who sadly suffered a torn ACL, just diagnosed recently. But he thinks Brent George is one of the best players on the team. He says super underrated, the most unselfish, just a workhorse.
Yeah, coach's dream there.
Chicken lets another one fly.
Foot race, Zachary Theodore against Tommy Lee.
Oh, what a grab! Tommy Lee, horizontal, giving everything for the Cascades goal.
Tommy Lee is a young, up-and-coming superstar. He's flashy, he's athletic, he's a good-looking kid. He goes deep, takes Zachary Theodore to the house in a huge layout catch. Look at this extension that he gets. Just puts it all on the line, makes the catch. And that's one of those ones, you know, if you don't catch that, the bad news is you got to get up and play D after a long sprint. So a little more incentive for you to put your hand on it, and an excellent play from Tommy Lee.
Another wonderful service from Adam Simon. And I think we should clarify, Zach Theodore, one of the faster guys on the Aviators. I mean, he is no slouch defensively. And yet Tommy Lee showed the wheels, the acceleration, and the willingness to get dirty. Entertaining start, 5 consecutive holds. We've had 4 of the 5 points turnover free.
Yeah, you compare that to last night, which looked like Great Lakes Regionals.
D3.
D3.
In a hurricane.
Yeah, it was a tough start last night.
It was interesting chatting with members of both teams after the game, especially San Diego. I mean, they were obviously thrilled to get the win as LA makes quick work on offense again. Inbounds near the sideline. And there's the first goal of the day for Brian Wynn for LA. But I mean, you were talking with Kevin Smith and Tyler Bacon and Dan Bellinger, you know, veterans of the sport, guys that you're used to considering rocks. They're not going to make mistakes. And yet it was a comedy of errors last night, and somehow they kept it together, and behind Hunter Corbett and Steven Milardovich, they turned it on late. They
did. I mean, it was all about energy. I talked to Dan. I said, hey, you know, I think the team really needed your energy, because that's Dan's hallmark. He's just a fiery guy, always bringing it, always celebrating. You know, and he's kind of that Mr. Santa Barbara scene guy. And, you know, really made a difference. Nice shot there to the end zone. Good touch on that. I mean, there really actually wasn't that much space. And he drops it right in. Let's Stig just close out on it.
Brian Wynn, known to his teammates as Stig.
Ace. Oh!
We should have a mascot rankings, because Ace is up there in the entire league.
He is a force to be reckoned with.
And with that said, Casey, the Sasquatch up in Seattle's pretty good too.
Hey, no doubt. No doubt. My Instagram profile picture was with Casey for quite a while.
If I was on Instagram, I would absolutely follow you, Chuck. Seattle in the red zone in a hurry. And Simon with his 3rd straight assist.
Wow.
That was really easy for the Seattle Cascades.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a real no-no. That's open side. I mean, you're on an island here, right? You got Adam Simon with the disc on the goal line. And a good look at that, the inside backhand. So as a defender, I mean, geez. It's a bad setup. So you see Chicken's got it. He's got that high release backhand to the left side of the screen. So the defender has to kind of bite on that inside fake, but you hate to see Mark Burton clap catching on the open side near the end zone.
So we've seen some adjustments lineup-wise from Seattle. Aldis Root, Tommy Lee playing on the O-line. So far, so good.
Yeah, not a bad adjustment. I mean, they're going to have to try some new stuff. And down the stretch, they might have to just ride their horses into the ground here. But like we said, Seattle, it's a little hotter over here in LA tonight. So it's important that they keep this close, maybe even develop a lead, because they're probably gonna wear out in the fourth quarter. We certainly saw that last night.
Quick disc movement from Los Angeles. Tom Doy back to Tim Beatty, and this is Eric Lissner. Another very dangerous handler, probably not talked about enough. George, great touch for the goal. That's Eli Friedman. Soaring and scoring for LA.
It's looking pretty good for Los Angeles right now. They're settled. They're hitting their touch throws. I mean, that's a couple forehands to this sideline that have sat perfectly. This is not an easy throw. Straightaway cutter. Basically, you can't miss. I mean, you can't really throw it out to space. You got to just drop it in and make sure it's within a very narrow window. He does that beautifully. Here's Lissner with the setup pass, and George just puts a nice touch on it. Keeps that back lip up. Gives his receiver a chance to run it down.
Brent George with his first assist. He's got a couple of goals. Adam Simon has 3 assists, and we haven't even played 5 minutes yet.
And one of my favorite players, Mitch Steiner, getting ready with the pull. Looks a little bit like Kevin Pettit-Scanling from Madison, doesn't he?
He absolutely does. Similarly menacing on defense as well. Talked to Adam Simon before the game. He said he's feeling a little old, but he's ready to get back out there. He said he's hanging by a thread, and yet looks like a pretty thick rope so far instead of just a thread the way he's played in this first quarter. Lee quickly back to Simon. One of the great veterans of the sport. He's played in Atlanta, Boston, San Francisco, and now Seattle. Also in Denver, where he won a national title at University of Colorado. That shot will work. Mark Burton to Aldis Root. And this Seattle offense has only turned it over 1 time in its first 5 goals.
Yeah, Seattle doing everything right on offense. They better hope that LA starts turning the disc a bit, because I think they need to try to get out to a lead here.
Do you think they can maintain this pace, or is that what you're getting at?
That's what I'm getting at. They're going to have to be more or less perfect on offense as we go down the stretch, which, by the way, they could certainly do.
See John Randolph, who played primarily offense for much of the season. He's moved over to D, at least for the start today. And Aldis Root, who is Randolph's teammate on the USA Junior National Team. Root can do a lot of things, and he, a talented young player who has obviously shown a lot. Getting ready to transfer, entering his sophomore year to Western Washington, and he could be a menacing threat in the college game for the next few seasons. Size, speed, experience, dangerous combo. Friedman. Great catch. Brian Wynn hauls in the Friedman huck. And we're tied at 5 in this first quarter shootout.
And you're starting to see the difference of Brian Wynn today versus Brian Wynn 2 years ago. He's just in the right spot. He's getting whatever he wants going away. I mean, he's slow. Look at how far ahead he was. Literally, Cam Bailey's running full speed this whole time. Wynn is just slowing down, trying to time his jump, because he got there about an hour ago.
Brian Wynn played at UC Irvine. His older sister played Ultimate, helped to start the team at UCLA. We played 10 points in less than half a quarter. Score at the end of the first quarter yesterday in San Diego was 6-3. Both teams, Chuck, are just getting it into opposing territory so fast.
Yeah, it's, you know, I mean, this is perfect weather for Ultimate.
And there's the turnover. Coming in on the under, Zach Theodore picks it off, and yet Seattle will take it right back.
Wow, Chicken after the turnover gets looked like a two-handed point block on that huck. Play smart, not hard, right?
Tommy Lee. Back to Burton. Root. Theodore on the mark. Root angles it around just shy of the end zone. It's Fox. Seattle perhaps made some mistakes in these spots yesterday, and that was a tremendous choice. Henry Fan knifing the blade to Adam Simon. Sure-handed goal for Simon in the Cascades.
Yeah, that's kind of the upside to this culture of positivity that you have on Seattle. Guys play loose, they take shots. They're not scared to take big shots. You know, so there's some more kind of hard-nosed, tough love ultimate programs where you're not going to see a blade go up like that.
Henry Fan, another guy who's played for the USA Junior National Team, part of that Seattle youth system.
Yeah, and I think the biggest upside to having a youth system like Seattle has is that you get these young talents who are athletic, and they're complete players too. I mean, that's kind of the upside. You're not looking at a guy who just converted from track and is now trying to figure out how to throw a forehand.
They've been coached for a decade already by the time they're playing pro.
Yeah, and they're stuck getting coached by Riot players and, you know, guys on the Cascades.
World champs. LA's O-line hasn't turned it over yet, and that is still true. This time it's Michael Keoy taking care of business in the end zone.
Yeah, Keoy was sizing that thing up. He looked like a little kid at an ice cream store saying, "Oh, I'll take one of those." And look at him get position. Once again, they're kind of underthrowing their deep shots. Keoy wide open. It turns this into almost a 50-50, but great position. Keeps all the defenders on his back. And he's having a good time.
Tom Doy just floating it up there for Keoy, who a couple years ago at this time was in the same spot that Mark Elbogan is in right now. Keoy missed year one with the Aviators because of a torn ACL. Of course, before that, he played with the San Jose Spiders, part of their first title team in the Bay Area. Keoy and Elbogan are roommates, and they said they're going to do with Mark what they did with Mike. When Mike Keoy had his ACL surgery, they basically moved his bedroom downstairs into the living room, so he didn't have to go up the stairs for a couple weeks, and they're going to do that with Mark. They were saying it was like that early scene in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when you get home, Charlie gets home, and all the grandparents are lying in the bed together. Kind of like that. You just walk in the door, and they're just there lying down.
I had a dream like that.
Yeah. This is Tommy Lee. Adam Simon. Oh, Tommy Lee. Too easy. We are still on serve. 13 points in 7.5 minutes. 7-6 Seattle. Who's going to blink first here? Or will it be a defensive adjustment that'll try to change the pace? What do you think?
Well, our corporate sponsors sure hope that it's an offensive battle. We like seeing scores. We like seeing layouts. Yeah, just you can never release Tommy Lee deep.
That's his third goal in the first quarter. John Doherty, member of the Ireland national team, side by side with Daniel Montoya, member of the Colombian national team. Of course, the Montreal Royale with 3 members of Team France. And Montreal got another win tonight, improving to 6-4 in the East Division, beating Ottawa by just a few points.
So excited for that club. One of the best ultimate scenes
it's unreal
in the league.
Championship weekends heading to Montreal August 26th and 27th. And if you thought Madison was special last year, and it certainly was, this will be unlike anything we've seen before in Ultimate. I'm pretty confident of that. Doi, deadly on the unders. Smart player resets it. Kiyoy swings it around to Beatty. Again, the Aviators mistake-free until that drop from Doi. His teammates have raved about what he's brought to the team. National squad experience. And more importantly, they say Doi's done whatever they've asked him to do. He played defense for a while, now kind of stepping into the O-line with Mark Elbogan's ACL injury. Happened a couple weeks ago. Officially diagnosed this past week. Wishing Mark all the best. One of the game's good guys and great players. Former champ with San Jose. Finalist for MVP last year. Oh, and that had a little bit too much angle on it on the release from Duffel. Great opportunity goes awry.
Yeah, good job on the mark to pressure that throw. That certainly would have been a goal.
That was Seattle's first break chance of the quarter.
Man, George is fun to watch cut. I've been watching him this whole point. He's been open. He just finally got the disc the first time, but his timing is outstanding.
Back to Beatty. Kiyoy. And a whistle downfield will give Los Angeles 10 contact. Michael Kiyoy, known as the Sultan, which is a great nickname.
Yeah, it's pretty respectable as they go.
Nearly a travel, but George able to hold his
and a
pivot
stall.
foot.
Oh, geez.
And he held on to the disc for too long.
He held onto the disc too well. That's what you get when you're a born receiver and you're trying to learn how to throw. You just don't want to let go.
Would have gone against the integrity of the rules, but if he had traveled, then the whistle would have blown. He would have had to give it 10 yards and had a chance. Timeout called by Seattle. For the first time in the game, the Aviators have turned it over on offense, and the Cascades looking to capitalize. High-scoring first quarter here in L.A. 7-6, Seattle.
Early recognition is critical. Teaches middle school PE classes about ultimate Frisbee and cancer symptom awareness.
We're a registered nonprofit that advocates for an active, healthy lifestyle, body awareness, and speaking up if something is wrong.
Skills that when it comes to cancer can help save a life. Ultimate is a fast-paced team sport that's self-refereed, non-contact, and co-ed.
Spirit of the game is the foundation of Ultimate. That means we communicate respectfully, we're fair-minded, and we enjoy the game.
Ultimate is accessible to everyone. All you need is a Frisbee and some friends. Our team of coaches is made up of experienced and passionate leaders from the Ultimate community.
We can come to your middle school and run your PE classes for the day. And if we're not in your area yet, we'll send you our clinic in a box, where we give you the resources to run your own.
We are Eric!
And we want to work with you and your school.
High-flying start here tonight. 7-6, Seattle leads Los Angeles. Busy night of Ultimate around the AUDL. There are 7 games on this June Saturday. Some finals from the East Coast already. Raleigh improved to 9-1. They'll stay atop the South Division. A 12-goal win over Nashville. Jonathan Nethercutt, Chuck, had 12 more assists in that game for the Flyers, who are kind of the Aviators' East Coast cousin. Landing on the line, Bryson Fox still has work to do in search of the first Cascades break of the day. Burton nails it. Hauser with the goal, and Seattle takes the first 2-score lead of the day. That was by far the longest point of this first quarter. It took Just about over 3 minutes. 3:09 came off the clock after we had scored 13 points in 7.5 minutes. Missed opportunity for Seattle, but they would get the disc back. And it's just funny how Mark Burton, wherever he is on the field when he gets the disc, it feels like his first look is always to the end zone. Is there space for me to make that throw?
Yeah, he's just got a knack for finding those angles. Good catch by Hauser, though. That was coming in quick, and he was a little bit behind the defender. Tough to locate and catch. Did a good job, though.
LA's offense going the opposite direction for the first time. This is Listener to George in the under. Doherty bouncing on the mark. Back to Beatty, chased by Zach Smith. Smith, by the way, the fresh legs on the Seattle roster, the only guy playing tonight who did not see the field last night. The engineer had to work on Friday in Seattle. Another 50-50 to the end zone, and this time Wynn can't make the play. He congratulates his adversary, Daniel Montoya, on some fine defense.
Yeah, good read by Montoya. Got position, didn't fall for, read the double helix on that perfectly and gets in there and breaks it up.
Well, Seattle with 25 seconds on the clock. Randolph over to Smith. Randolph with 15. Beener back to Randolph. Let her rip. Just shy of the goal line. 3 seconds to go. Cross field. That'll work.
Wow.
Duffel connecting with Montoya. And at the buzzer, Seattle with a haymaker. 9-6 after 1.
That's about, with how well LA played in that first quarter, especially on offense, you've got to be really happy if you're Seattle being up 3 at the end of this quarter. Great D here from Montoya. Excellent deep shot. Does not float this. Puts a lot of OI on it just to make sure it drops in. Gives you a little more accuracy. Great execution from the young guy, and a good heads-up play to get it across the field for the goal.
Bookends for Montoya to cap a very entertaining opening 12 minutes here in LA. The visiting Cascades lead the hometown Aviators by 3.
Hi, I'm Joel Larakis, and I'm the operations manager of Boone Technical Clothing here in the United States. I lost my mom last 2014 to breast cancer. She was 54 years old. It was pretty tough for me because I wasn't able to help her or have the kind of knowledge to be able to do something about the situation. I learned about Eric, about Jim's vision, about his organization, and I want to be part of it. Not only as an ultimate player, but also a son to my mom. I think one thing that early recognition is critical helped me was to be able to reach out to other people who are still having the chance or privilege to do something about the cancer within their family or like friends. I think that's what Eric is all about. It's just not within the sport, it goes on and off the field. If you volunteer, even though it's only you can be able to inspire and aspire other people to help the movement. And you never know. People are just waiting to be reached out to, and they're only waiting for you.
Great atmosphere here in Los Angeles, despite the Aviators trailing by 3 as we head to the second. And we've got some breaking news from elsewhere in the AUDL. For the first time this season, Chuck, just a couple minutes ago, There are no more undefeated teams in the league in 2017. Tonight, the Minnesota wind chill lost for the first time this year, and it happened in overtime. The Madison Radicals take down the Minnesota wind chill 23-22 in overtime in the Twin Cities. Madison within one game of first place in the loss column. They split the first two matchups with Minnesota. We'll have the rubber match on 11 Sports and AUDL.TV. AUDL Game of the Week on July the 1st. Aviators on offense to begin the second quarter in this crucial West Division showcase. Again, if you join us late, LA is at 4-4, Seattle's at 4-3.
How pretty was that? Just beautiful timing. Step back, flick out to the wide angle of the field here.
Important score for LA. Seattle scored the final 3 goals of the first quarter.
Yeah, and LA not hanging their heads at all. Watch this thing set up. Brent George, number 3 to the left of your screen here. Always timing his cut so perfectly. Here he is. He's going to set up his cut, and then watch him curl. Gets to this. As soon as it gets to Friedman, who's, by the way, incredible at throwing, he just hits the brakes, comes back around, ready to catch. You got eye contact from your receiver rather. So easy to throw to Brent George.
In ultimate, you call that a little bit of an S-cut fake, but it was basically just a down and out from football parlance.
Well, that all comes from timing, right? It's not like he did anything incredible. He just knew the exact moment when to cut, and his defender was a half a second late, and that's all you need when you got Friedman there with a lane to throw to, no poach defenders. That's a goal.
Seattle was very good on offense in the first quarter. What's your reaction, by the way, to Madison snapping Minnesota's unbeaten streak?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I want to see these two teams battle. I've always wondered in the last few years.
Hold that thought. Aldis Root versus Andrew Cole. And Root prevails for these.
Adam Simon just has a nose, doesn't he? I mean, he just knows that's the time and place for a huck. I don't know how he does it. He's been doing this forever. But you look at that play set up, and you're not overwhelmed by the cut. He doesn't have a ton of space. Here's 98 on the left side of your screen. He's going deep. Shot goes up to Simon. And like I said, he's looking over his shoulder. He's ready to catch, but it's not like he's wide open. But Simon just, you're shaking your head here if you're number 4. Like, what the heck just happened? I was on the guy. He's 35 yards away from me cutting away. And somehow I have no play on this disc.
All of a sudden, the disc is there, and as you said, no play whatsoever.
You just got chickened.
Second goal for Aldis Root. Meanwhile, Adam Simon having himself a game.
Yeah,
that's his 5th assist already, and he's also scored once. Catching that blade from Henry Fan back in the first.
He's so tough. And if you talk to guys who have played with him over the years, he's a guy who just works harder than everybody else. He's not naturally overwhelming as an athlete. He never has been, but he'll win the matchup all day long, and it's just pure work.
Well, Seattle's D-line getting back-to-back breaks to end that first quarter.
Oh, Billy. No throw. I wanted it. Friedman to George all day.
Decided to holster it this time. Listener swings it for Keoy. Now looking for Tom Doy, and he's got it.
You think coming into this game, coming into this season also, they lost Jeff Silverman. Man, they lost Dan Bellinger. How are they going to bounce back? And then you look out on the field. Hunter Corbett, incredible player. And then you look out on the field and you see Tom Doy closing out on a cut. You're like, man, those are some pretty good options they got out there. Friedman looks really comfortable. Tom Doy's doing his thing. Only one of the top players in the entire planet. And, and you say to yourself, wait a minute. There's nothing to worry about here. LA's looking good.
Tom Doy, just a great combination of good hands, incredible quickness, strength,
and humility. A guy that could be that A-list guy who comes in and says, hey, guys, here's the deal. I'm on the world's team. Let me tell you what's about to happen. And that's not what he did. He comes in and says, how can I help, guys? What can I do?
Is that what you did when you made the USA Beach Worlds team?
I wasn't that good, and I came in with swagger. So, no.
He got hurt, right?
Then I got hurt, and I said, hey, best of luck to you guys. I'm going to record some voice memos, play violin in my room. Good luck.
Simon looking long again. Hauser 1-on-2. Denied. That's McDougal. Sean McDougal with the D.
And was that Adam Simon regressing to the mean on that, Huck?
Maybe. Ransom picks up quickly to Steiner. LA does not have a break yet. D-line for the Aviators has not been able to get a turn and work it all the way downfield. Could this be the time where that changes?
They're getting good separation. They just need to relax and possess the disc, I think, because the cuts are there so far. Great work on the IO lane.
Ransom back over to Steiner. He had McDougal going. He looked him off, trying to be patient. Matt Theologity, who graduated from college earlier today at Cal Poly Pomona. And I believe there was a whistle. Referees are kind of looking at each other. Players are as well, and well, apparently no call. Seattle will take over. What happened?
I don't know. Must have been unrelated somehow.
So Simon picks up missed opportunity for LA. You know, in the AUDL, Chuck, you see D-lines that don't get disc touches for a long time. Mitchell Steiner doing what he does in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, that is a fun matchup, seeing Tommy Lee go deep on Steiner and see Steiner's eyes get big as the throw goes up. He says, "Excuse me? You're going to cuck on my guy?" Steiner's a beast.
Theologity graduated about 27 miles away, which in LA traffic takes about 7 hours.
Yeah, no doubt. Fun driving today in LA, folks. Probably have another 100 people here by halftime. They're just sitting on the 405.
Here's Steiner getting the better of Lee, and that doesn't happen very often.
No, it looks like Lee actually was running out of real estate, so maybe that's why
That's fair.
Steiner was able to close on it. But he's a tough guy.
So the Aviators offense will retake the field after the timeout. Mitchell Steiner out of the University of Buffalo. Played for the Buffalo Hunters, one of the original AUDL teams back in 2012, and then the Rochester Dragons. Each team has a former Rochester Dragon tonight. Zach Smith for Seattle, Mitchell Steiner for LA.
Wow, I did not know that. That's very interesting.
Somewhere, former Dragons head coach Brian Jones is smiling.
One of the great teams in the history of the league.
He's also smiling because he's coaching the USA Open men's beach team that is stacked beyond belief, headed to France next week for Beach Worlds.
As a coach, you gotta like your odds.
And Brian is quite the tactician, but I think you or I could handle that and not mess things up too much.
Yeah,
no pressure, Brian.
Get the guys to bed on time, and you were gonna win a gold. That's kind of how that goes.
Tom Doy looking deep, floats it up there for Keoy versus Smith. And it was Friedman who came flying in, but he could not make the catch.
Yeah, they might have D'd each other. They had a nice little 2-on-1. I'm not sure if Doy saw that developing, but it looked pretty good.
You can probably tell the sun is just about set to go below the horizon, which will change the lighting considerably. Fan swings it over to Randolph. Now John Randolph has been steady for Seattle's O-line. Now adding some stability to the Seattle D-line in the handling core. And there was contact. A pick was called. So Henry Fan will take 10 steps the other way. Obviously the pace has slowed a little bit, and you knew it would. It always does.
Well, yeah, especially in the AUDL. These fields are gigantic. And, there's not a lot of breaks, right? There's not a lot of talking. Between the points very quick. It's a little different than playing a USAU club game.
Seattle takes its second time out of the half. Trying to get the O-line back onto the field. Gives us a chance to run over some of the other results from around the AUDL tonight. We talked about the Minnesota wind chill falling in overtime against Madison, 23-22. First overtime game in Radicals history.
Is
They
that right?
improved to 6-2, bouncing back from their home loss to Dallas last week. Raleigh Flyers over Nashville, 32-20. Raleigh improves to 9-1. They've got 4 games left. 2 of those 4 games are against Nashville. They've also got Jacksonville at home and Atlanta on the road. They know that if they can take care of business and win out, the South Division title will run through Raleigh. Jacksonville did win tonight over Atlanta. The Cannons are 7-3, 27-23 the victory. Andrew Roney had 8 assists. Jordan Huston had 8 goals, and the Cannons are now 7-0 against teams other than the Raleigh Flyers.
It is what it is, right?
There's the sun disappearing beyond the picturesque horizon. East Division, Toronto over Philly. High-scoring game in Philly today, 35-28. Isaiah Massick-Kelly had 7 assists. Steve Armitage had 7 goals. Toronto won in 6 in a row. Next week, Chuck, you and I are going to get a treat as we're going to see the Toronto Rush and the San Francisco FlameThrowers go head-to-head up in Toronto.
Yeah, you want to talk about one of the coolest cities ever in the summertime. Toronto just cannot be beat. So fun.
Stall was called on Seattle. A split second too long before the release. Meanwhile, the FlameThrowers are playing great tonight. They lead San Jose 21-12.
That is unreal.
So the Spiders are looking at back-to-back losses. Of course, they fell against these Aviators last week. And the FlameThrowers looking to get back into first place themselves. Uncharacteristic drop by McDougal, uncontested. And here's Burton. He's like, somebody go deep for me. I guess I'll reset it to Simon. He's had some good throws too.
Yeah, I think Burton likes his matchup here.
There are times when Burton just kind of takes over the game with his body language, with a mindset of exactly what you just said.
Nice position there for McDougal. Doesn't give away that direct shot to the end zone.
Seattle in the red zone. And I believe a pick was called in the stack.
And then Chicken maliciously hits one of the Aviators with the Frisbee. Ladies and gentlemen, a fight is moments away.
Looks pretty chill.
Yeah, pretty relaxed.
Oh, there's Fan onto the turf to keep possession alive. Hard to believe we had 15 goals scored in the first quarter, under 5 minutes to go, and only 3 scores so far here in the second. The defense has tightened up both ways.
Is that Severinson on the D?
Might have been Brandon Severson, number 80.
Pretty nice play. Read that, timed it perfectly. Big play, saves a goal. I mean, those are big.
Aviators still looking for their first break. One thing about the Seattle offense, they have a knack for getting the disc back after they turn it over, which is really a skill. No team in the league is better than Dallas. After that, Seattle shows again how they're able to get the disc. And Severson, though, going to get called contact, interference. Severson will get the disc. The foul's on Hauser.
Interesting. I'd love to see a replay of that. It seemed like it just kind of, I'm not sure. Certainly he fell, you know, undercut him.
Oh, that just floated up, miscommunication, and Hauser perhaps inadvertently connected with Severson, who's been in the middle of everything at this point.
Yeah, I don't want to say I called it, but it's getting a little aggressive out there, folks. A little aggressive.
Clock stopped with 3:33 remaining in the second quarter.
Yeah, that looked innocent enough. Might have been an elbow as he was going to make the catch. So here's the D. See, he kind of gets inside. I guess that's a good call. If you can't make a play without fouling, without making contact.
This looks, I believe, an invert. Maybe just caught an elbow.
Yeah, might have jumped into him.
That was a replay of him lying on the field. He has popped up, and he's got a grin on his face.
Might have just got him in the eye. So painful when you get poked in the eye.
Burton at midfield to Root. They just turned on the lights here at Occidental College Patterson Field, with the sun disappearing beyond the horizon. The lights have been turned on. Fan to Simon. To Burton.
And Burton just keeps working. I mean, Josiah Mort shut him down, I think 3 straight cuts in the right position, right on top of it.
That point, Chuck, took about 7.5 minutes off the clock. It was a long one.
Yeah, tough grind for the guys who were on the field for that point. Nice job by who else? Adam Simon. And oh, here's the layout D from Severson. Great anticipation, no doubt about it. And Simon with the backhand out to space here. Watch this little setup.
6 assists already for Adam Simon.
Yeah, he's playing a game tonight.
That was an easy one. Most of them have been daring deep shots.
It's true, and you know, it's one of the things when you're tired and you know you got to make it through this game with what you got in terms of personnel, you know, it's a good idea to take more shots, you know, because you're just going to have to score. You're going to have to hope for the best. Take your shots, hope for the best, close out. It's the most efficient way to score. And luckily, they've been working out great so far for Adam Simon.
This is Beatty, and he goes cross field for Friedman. Doy wide open. Junky look here from Seattle, and it did not work at all.
Yeah, another thing you try when you've got limited personnel is junky defensive sets on 53-yard wide fields with no wind. Not an easy thing to do, but worth a shot.
So Brent George, who had the first couple goals for the Aviators, picks up his first assist. And Eric Lissner. He's an experienced guy. Lissner from Santa Ana, UCLA, class of 2012. He's had some big games in this league. So 11-9, 2:25 to go here in the second quarter. After the previous point took about 7.5 minutes, LA scores in 26 seconds. And yet the Aviators D-line still has not gotten a break in the half, and that's got to be the biggest story.
Yeah, Seattle very efficient, and also LA struggles to score with their defensive line. You know, it might even be worth taking some timeouts to bring on your O-line just to make sure you capitalize on these turnovers. They need to break.
Mitchell Steiner causing some pressure, forces the turnover. He needs some help. Looking end zone, Steiner's there. Theologity hits Steiner. Aviators back within 1.
Steiner's so fun to watch, man. Such a tough, physical, fiery guy. And he's one of those guys that can charge up his team. I think LA looks very good. Perhaps they could get a little more, just a little more excitement on the line, especially on this D line. Start to taste those goals, start to feel that swagger, and start to, maybe start to roll this Seattle team.
Well, last night, once the floodgates opened, Seattle really was powerless to stop that avalanche of momentum.
Yeah, that was something to watch. I mean, hey, obviously Seattle was tired, but take nothing away from San Diego. That was awesome. You could see how talented this team was. I still say I want to see Steven Milardovich out of the stack a heck of a lot more because nobody can guard him. But, hey, 2 layout Ds on Mark Burton, that'll do too.
Milardovich certainly with a healthy respect for Burton. I think after last night, Burton an even more healthy respect for Milardovich. That disc up high, and Cam Bailey elevates and then launches.
Big
looking
travel
for Root.
Cam Bailey took a walk after he caught that disc.
And yet it goes uncalled, and Bailey dishes deep for Root for the Seattle score.
Yeah, not so sure about that one. I've coached a couple freshmen in college who've pulled this move. I don't know if we can see him catch and then take 2 steps to the forehand side to drill this deep shot. But
may have dragged the pivot foot slightly as well.
Right. Cam Bailey likes to get a move on, though. We were at the bar last night, and briefly he hopped up on the table to do a little dancing. He's got energy for days. Watch him step over here and just walk around the mark. That's classic.
Chuck, you and I are fortunate. We get to travel around this great league and see the different character of different cities. And every city is a little different, but it always is special to me to see both teams after a hard-fought 1-point game, heartbreaker for one team, euphoric for another team. They're out at the bar together, intermingled, enjoying each other's company. That's just something special about this game we've got.
It really is. I think that is part of the spirit of the game topic that we talk about. This is one tribe, really. It's a unique kind of person that feels called to play Ultimate, and it's just a unique culture. And there's a lot of love and cooperation across teams and across communities. It's pretty sick.
And, like for a guy like Mark Burton, he was frustrated. It wasn't easy for him to be having a conversation with me and Steven Milardovich, who laid out Dedham in 2 critical moments in the 4th quarter. And yet he harnesses that energy the right way, uses it as motivation for the future, and he'll be coming for him next time.
Oh, no doubt. And plus, you know what? I mean, Mark's a gamer, and game recognized game,
Keough threads it through, and then Friedman to Doy.
How sick was that play by Friedman? Just kind of jumps in the soft spot between defenders, makes the catch, and immediately pulls a Hunter Corbett-style dish for the continue. I love this play. Eli Friedman is really, really an exciting guy.
Former Callahan Award winner at the University of Oregon.
So not a great throw from Keough, and Friedman just kind of plays it like it was to him. And the quick dish. Man, look at these 2 guys. You know what I'm talking about? LA Ultimate, Friedman and Doy.
Quite the combo.
Trouble. Yeah, it's going to be a long day if you're guarding Doy.
Tom Doy grew up in Bethesda, Maryland, went to small Green Mountain College in Vermont. He's one of those guys that started playing Ultimate in a tiny, tiny college team that would go to sectionals and lose every game, and yet here he is, one of the best players in the world. All right, clock winding down for the Cascades. Can LA get a stop here to close out the quarter? That's certainly contact. And the clock stops with 11 seconds on the clock.
You know what else that was a catch D that didn't happen. I don't know why he didn't lay out and catch that.
Fan restarts play to Simon. He had time to swing it. Instead, he shoots it deep. Root can't make the play because Theodore knocks it away.
Zach Theodore, really a specialist in the air. Read that all the way. He's a guy in the Long Beach Ultimate community who, if it's double game point or if we're struggling to score, you just throw it up to Zach, and he's so damn good at coming down with these. Watch him get a great read. Kid in front of Root, who's a young guy, big frame, great hops. and Zach does what he does.
Fine defense without fouling. And that takes us to the half. The Aviators win that second quarter 5-3, and after trailing by 3, they're back within 1.
Yeah, you got to be very happy if you're LA. You've got momentum, you've got legs, you're at home, you slept in your bed last night, and you're 1 point down. Let's go, LA.
Halfway home tonight, Seattle 12, Los Angeles 11 on the AUDL Game of the Week.
Early recognition is critical. Teaches middle school PE classes about ultimate Frisbee and cancer symptom awareness.
We're a registered nonprofit that advocates for an active, healthy lifestyle, body awareness, and speaking up if something is wrong.
Skills that when it comes to cancer can help save a life. Ultimate is a fast-paced team sport that's self-refereed, non-contact, and co-ed.
Spirit of the game is the foundation of Ultimate. That means we communicate respectfully, we're fair-minded, and we enjoy the game.
Ultimate is accessible to everyone. All you need is a Frisbee and some friends. Our team of coaches is made up of experienced and passionate leaders from the Ultimate community.
We can come to your middle school and run your PE classes for the day. And if we're not in your area yet, we'll send you our clinic in a box, where we give you the resources to run your own.
We are Eric!
And we want to work with you and your school.
12-11 is your halftime score, and you can see me and Chuck through the window, and in just a second you'll see us even closer up because we are here in the booth. He's Chuck, I am Evan. 12-11 is the halftime score, and a pretty entertaining first half, all things considered. 15 goals in the first quarter, slowed down a little bit in the second quarter. I'm just curious to get your general thoughts on that first half.
Well, I'm really impressed with LA, I got to be honest. Sometimes LA gets beat up in big games and spotlight games. They're missing Elbogen, so I'm saying, you know, they're coming in here a little flat, kind of down from the loss of one of their best players. And they look awesome. And Tom Doy and Eli Friedman are doing their thing. These guys are fired up. Wynn looks like he's on another level this year. I mean, he's so open deep that he slows down and has to, like, you know, do the volleyball three-step wind-up to make his catches. It's a good sign. I think they're going to run these guys into the ground in the second half.
I don't disagree with you. It was an impressive first-half performance from L.A., and the question is, how much does Seattle have in the tank? They've played 3 halves of Ultimate this weekend. They've got 1 more left. They've got a 1-goal lead. Can they hold on?
Well, never count them out. I mean, these guys, like we've said so many times, they don't beat themselves. They don't quit. They've got a lot of heart. You know, and we saw last night, they don't like to lose, okay? These guys are not into losing. And traditionally, Seattle comes down to L.A. and just stomps, okay? That's, you know, if you look 10, 20 years back, Seattle has their way with the SoCal team. So there's a lot of pride at stake here, too. I wouldn't be surprised if you come out and just see Seattle put their foot down early.
What, if any, adjustment can L.A. make against Adam Simon? Because he really carved him up.
Yeah, I think, you know, he's look at that foot block by Adam Simon, by the way. He's a guy that, you know, you have to be honest on the mark. He's going to give little eye fakes, little head fakes, and make it easy for you to kind of move. You got to keep him honest, though. Make him throw open side shots. Don't let him rock you over and then get a backhand around. Make him throw to the open side. He might still beat you, but certainly you don't want to give him these tight little angles because he can hit them. He can throw a shoulder high backhand around the mark.
It is a beautiful night here in Southern California. The June gloom is not infiltrating Occidental College on this Saturday evening. 12-11, Seattle leads at the half. We're going to take a quick timeout and then show you the top plays from Week 10 in the AUDL. One of the greatest weeks in the history of the league, and an Aviator high up on the list. That's next. 12-11, Cascades at the break.
Mazer with the flick hunt, looking for Stanley Peterson in the end zone. It's Stanley with the layout grab.
Air Force One.
Early recognition is critical. Teaches middle school PE classes about ultimate Frisbee and cancer symptom awareness.
We're a registered nonprofit that advocates for an active, healthy lifestyle, body awareness, and speaking up if something is wrong.
Skills that when it comes to cancer can help save a life. Ultimate is a fast-paced team sport that's self-refereed, non-contact, and co-ed.
Spirit of the game is the foundation of Ultimate. That means we communicate respectfully, we're fair-minded, and we enjoy the game.
Ultimate is accessible to everyone. All you need is a Frisbee and some friends. Our team of coaches is made up of experienced and passionate leaders from the Ultimate community.
We can come to your middle school and run your PE classes for the day. And if we're not in your area yet, we'll send you our clinic in a box, where we give you the resources to run your own.
We are Eric,
And we want to work with you and your school.
Out the bush. Bush with the interesting hammer. Oh!
Oh, he's gonna take the shot, and yes, he will. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rogue versus Knight. Oh, another cut! What a kick!
The Chicago defenders have made the play. There's a great leaping stop. Vaughn on the layout for the defensive play. Woods quickly on the attack. Vaughn into the end zone for the score.
Fun! My goodness.
In front, here's Donovan with the deep cut. Bansfield cutting from that handler position down the field. Lights out, he's got the score. You gotta be kidding. That's the speed that Eric Leonard, the coach of the AlleyCats, said he was afraid of. They center it. Kyle Cox chasing after this one. Looks like it was intercepted in the end zone, and the Detroit Mechanix get on the scoreboard first on the Callahan, and that's how to make the early mark.
Egan with a good play. Working it up the field. Going deep, but too deep for Clunder. Trying for the greatest. Oh my God. Fantastic play by CJ into the end zone. Back up for the score. Wildfire just pulled one out of. They pulled the rabbit out of the hat.
Walking it. Aaron Mitchell. He's got Michael Fioramonte. Duck pull. Oh!
Downfield for the break. Bennett to Frood. Inbound, what a by Frood.
And if Madison needed one more reason to miss Jay Frood, Mazer with the flick hunt looking for Stanley Peterson in the end zone. It's Stanley with the layout grab.
Air Force One.
Another good game in the West Division. Seattle leads LA 12-11. Of course, last night, Seattle built a 7-score lead against San Diego. The Growlers closed on an 11-3 run over the game's final 14.5 minutes to win it 21-20, making everything really tight in the West Division standings, Chuck. San Francisco is going to be in first place at the end of the night. They are clobbering San Jose right now in the Bay Area. San Jose will drop to 6-3, and then who knows? Will Seattle be 5-3 or 4-4? Will LA be 5-4 or 4-5? We know that San Diego is wedged in there, and they're feeling pretty good. They're going to rise into fourth place, regardless of who loses between Seattle and LA, because San Diego has a tiebreaker with the Cascades.
Very interesting.
In the Midwest, this is earlier tonight. The standings coming into this evening, of course, they have changed. Minnesota has fallen against Madison. The Radicals winning in the Twin Cities in overtime, handing the Wind Chill their first loss of the season. Madison at 6-2, and the Radicals go to Pittsburgh next week. They also have a game at Detroit in a doubleheader weekend for the Fighting Tim DeBiles. In the East Division, Toronto improved to 7-2 with a win over Philadelphia. And the Montreal Royale improved to 6-4 with another win against Ottawa. Next week, of course, we'll see San Francisco at Toronto in the Cross Coast Challenge. And in the South Division, the Raleigh Flyers victorious this evening over Nashville. Improving to 9-1. Dallas off this weekend. Jacksonville got a win to improve to 7-3 with Atlanta falling to 4-6. As you look around the league, what are your thoughts? What stands out to you? We're getting toward crunch time here in the regular season.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that Pittsburgh-Madison game next week. Pittsburgh really needs to turn it on. I think maybe they're ready to do that. And I'm going to be in Pittsburgh this week, sitting down with none other than Tad Whistle, probably one of the most thoughtful, most humorous players in the entire Ultimate scene. And also, he's got a pretty nice high-release backhand hook. So we're high-release backhand hook brothers.
I'm a little nervous about the hilarity and the hair of both of you guys coming together. It's like too much of a good thing. It could go wrong.
I know. It could go one of two ways. One of us might have to kill the other one just to get out of there. But I'm hoping for some synergy. And I'm also just excited to connect with that Pittsburgh scene. It's a really incredible scene. And if you look back 10 years, Pittsburgh really wasn't much of a scene. You know, there wasn't a lot going on. And then DiGirolamo comes through, David Hogan, the coaching mind, comes through, and you just start building this program that every year, they're producing an elite college team. And it'll just be interesting to see how they stack up against Madison next week. Madison is so good at slowing down offensive firepower, and that's what Pittsburgh is. So should be fun to watch.
Before we get to your thoughts on the second half here, quick thought on the Cross Coast Challenge, San Francisco and Toronto. Those two cities have a lot of ultimate history, although not in the AUDL. They'll go head-to-head at Varsity Stadium in Toronto. And what'll be a pretty big game for both those teams. Of course, Toronto has DC on the road tomorrow. So that's something the Rush are worried about first. But it's a big game next Saturday for both the FlameThrowers and the Rush.
Yeah, DC's so good. That should be an interesting game to watch. I think, too, that, still in my mind, I'm remembering when Toronto went to finals in front of their home crowd and a Bay Area team came through and just stomped them. It looked like a big brother, little brother situation. And, of course, I'm talking about the San Jose Spiders team. But there is a history here, and that was a humiliating loss.
Sure.
That was a humiliating loss on the biggest stage in Ultimate. And I've got to think that Toronto wants to put a stamp on that game and send San Francisco home with a loss.
And along with Raleigh, San Francisco and Toronto might make up the hottest trio in the league. Toronto's won 5-6 in a row now. San Francisco, big win over LA last week, looking like they're on their way to taking care of business and moving back into first against San Jose tonight. Matt Theologity, who graduated from college at Cal Poly Pomona earlier today, guy who came into the AUDL, kind of a big fish in a small pond mentality. He's had to learn and adjust. We see that a lot with great college players from small schools. You got to harness your game a little bit. And he's become basically what Alan Lai has been for the O-line, for this LAD line, just steady as he goes. Of course, this LA team missing Alan Lai, out with an ankle injury. Missing Mark Elbogan, of course, who hurt his knee. Zach Shackner, heroically coming back from cancer. He's on the sidelines tonight. He's played on the field this season, not in the lineup tonight. Seattle shooting it. Testing Theodore. Theodore's up to the task.
Yeah, you don't want to throw a 50-50 when Theodore's in the area.
Zach Theodore got engaged to be married on this field earlier this year at halftime of a game, proposing to his then girlfriend Evie, who helps to keep the stats on the sidelines for LA, in a really cool scene. We wish them the best. No wedding date set yet. Thinking hopefully maybe sometime next summer, 2018. Can LA punch it back in? Chuck, it was a pretty clean first half. LA only got one break. Seattle only got a couple. Offenses, for the most part, took care of business. Good patience here. Andrew Padula also was questionable for the game today. Missed the San Francisco game last Sunday with a hamstring injury, but Padula is a guy that the Aviators have really liked. Timeout called by Franklin Rowe. When LA beat San Jose last weekend, number 7 was basically their team MVP for the defense he played on Justin Norton, who is one of the MVP candidates in this league. Padula made life really tough on him.
Yeah, so hard to bother Norton, and just, essentially when you're dealing with one of those elite offensive talents, you just want to make them do a certain number of things and not anything they want. And he did a great job applying a lot of pressure. He's a guy I became a fan of last year watching this team.
There's Franklin Rowe, the third-year head coach.
Frankie Ginroe, he's a legend in L.A. I've lost a lot of games to Frankie Ginroe, I'm ashamed to say.
Playing in high school and went to William and Mary, and then began coaching the USC women with his wife. Helped lead the team to their first Nationals appearance back in 2009. And Frankie Rowe, a writer here in LA, director in television. Bunch of prestigious credits. And we got to give the Aviators franchise and specifically Ace, the Aviators, some credit. There has been a heck of an atmosphere from before the opening pull.
Yeah, they packed it in here tonight. Such a cool part of town, too. We're kind of, north of downtown in the Highland Park, Eagle Rock area. Cool area. A lot of new development in this part of town, a lot of young people. It's a fun little community.
John Randolph has decided to go with a belly shirt as he marks Eli Friedman. Interesting stylistic choice, although I'm not one to judge.
Hey, it is what it is.
Friedman takes a shot. Doy, if he wasn't there, Stig Wynn would have got it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to watch Doy adjust to that disc. He's so fast.
So that's a break to begin the second half. Rowe takes the timeout, and the Aviators make it pay off.
Yeah, Friedman sees something he likes, throws it out to space, and watch Doy kind of release deep. He does, puts pressure on the defender to go up early, gets the reaction he wants, and then releases deep for the easy clap catch. He makes throwers look good.
Third goal for Doy. Meanwhile, Eli Friedman racking up the stats as well. That's 4 assists for Friedman. Scored a goal back in the first quarter, too. So we're tied at 12. First tie since it was 6-all. At 6-all in the first quarter, Seattle ran off 3 straight. Led 9-6 at the end of 1. It was 11-8 in the second quarter, and then Aviators went on a run as Burton airs it out. Tommy Lee, we've seen him do this before.
That is a very, very good throw by Mark Burton. That was a set play. They ran a break shot to Tommy Lee short, released him deep. Mark Burton collects the disc and just airs this out. It's hard to get a feel for how perfect the touch was on this throw. I mean, look at this cut. He's basically starting even. And again, as a defender, really nothing you can do. Tommy Lee closes out. He's going to win the foot race, but Mort wasn't giving him that. He was in position. That throw was so good, Tommy Lee didn't even have to jump.
Multiple times tonight, Seattle's O-line has taken the mentality, if Tommy Lee's going and he's even with his defender, he's open.
Yeah, no doubt. He's going to win that foot race.
As a handler, it's nice to have a receiver like that.
Yeah, certainly. And, and Mark's got the kind of throw, he can put some float on that. He can put a little bit of air bounce on it, or whatever you want to call that, fattens it up, and just puts it on a shelf for Tommy Lee. That's perfect for Tommy. He's going to win that all the time. I don't know if there's another guy on the Seattle line who could make that throw, though, to be honest.
Beatty, Keoy, Friedman, George, Wynn, Doy, and Listener.
Nice pressure around the disc from Seattle.
LA showing pretty good patience. Beatty threads it across midfield. Friedman quickly back to Lisner. Low throw, too low. Good effort from Keoy, Wynn rather, but he couldn't get there.
Yeah, great pressure on that point. They got what they wanted.
And quickly launching it, looking for Duffel. Overly ambitious.
So that gives you something to kind of compare Mark Burton's throw to. Not that this was particularly open, but you can see how hard it is to drop that in there. You put some outside in on it, it comes in a little too quick. There's literally no chance of the receiver catching it. And when Mark Burton's making a deep shot, he always gives his receiver a good opportunity to catch the disc. It's not as easy as it looks.
Keoy one-handed grab. And Listener shooting. Will it float enough for Doy? Yes, indeed.
And I mean, you get a chance to see Doy's speed. I mean, he just leaves Cam Bailey in the background of this shot. He is so quick, and he's got the ability to hit that fifth gear that other guys don't have. Here we see the setup. Listener gets it in power position, collects himself and puts some touch on it, but that wasn't even close.
We've seen Tom Doy during his time with the DC Breeze score goals in bunches. That's back-to-back goals for him here in this third quarter.
Yeah, contrast that to Tommy Lee going away even, right? I mean, Tommy Lee's catching it, but he's only got like 2 steps. When Tom Doy's got it, I mean, generally it's going to be a clap catch, and there's not going to be anyone else in the frame.
He's just got a power to the way he runs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, watching him cut sort of reminds me of watching Khalif El-Salam throw. You just see a level of athleticism, particularly in their legs, where you're just like, what in the world am I watching? How is he able to adjust so quickly while he's running at full speed?
That's an interesting comparison. Certainly the Cascades would love to have Khalif El-Salam on the field today, but after registering a +6 last night, he couldn't go today. And now the Aviators looking to take their first lead of the game. Theologity shooting it to the end zone, and it's caught. Zach Theodore gives Los Angeles the lead.
And don't look now, but Zachary Theodore may be coming of age in this game. He has always been a guy that's trouble in the air. He's got his confidence. He's engaged now.
Right.
And he's going up big over a crowd of Cascades. Again, not even close. He's all over this. He makes it look so easy. And when it's a 50-50 and he's in the area, it's not a 50-50.
You can see the frustration from Root and Lee and the rest of the Cascades. The contrasting emotions as the Aviators take charge.
Well, you're dealing with Aldous Root, so he's 6'2", he's 19 years old. This guy is explosive, he's springy, he's tall. And Zachary's just showing him the ropes.
After trailing 11-8 with 2:51 to go in the second, Aviators have taken charge, and how about this? Another mistake from the Seattle O-line. Ted Barnett, the former Dallas Roughneck, over to Steiner. This is danger time for Seattle.
Yeah, they got to hang on tight here. They cannot afford to dig a hole.
Tough catch, Severson. Back out there after getting shaken up earlier, and squeezes it through to Steiner. The Aviators, a slam dunk here in the third quarter. Three straight goals for the hometown team.
And this is what we thought might happen. I mean, I don't think Seattle really can run with LA in the second half. Great first pass D. I think that was Mort who came through off the pull, centering pass to Chicken. He intercepts it, and then it's just a game of Plinko until Mitch Steiner
showing the hops,
finishes at the rim. It's going hard in the paint tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
You could get rim back in your heyday, right?
I get rim right now.
Yeah?
That's what.
10 feet?
Oh, yeah. All day. I only weigh 250 pounds. Got legs like tree trunks.
I mean, Shaq weighed more than that.
No doubt.
He also had about 16 inches on you. So can the Cascades figure out a way to stabilize the ship here?
Yeah, the good thing about Seattle, this is a veteran team. This is a composed team. They're not going to panic, all right? You might beat them.
Well.
And the pressure is on, and it's working. But don't expect Seattle to get in their heads and doubt themselves. There's absolutely no doubt that this is a championship caliber team. We saw that last year.
Hauser through the turnover. And Padula back to Doy, who's out there on D. He played mostly D for the first 6 weeks of the season. And he was a clincher after a turn. Oh, Doy can't get it, but keeping possession alive. And now shooting it deep. How about that?
Holy cow, what a throw.
Sean McDougall with the score after Nate Ransom kept the play alive and let her rip.
This is some kind of throw. Ransom steps out. And I mean, this cut is setting up. He's 40 yards away when he throws this. He's throwing it to the back of the end zone, gets it within 5 feet. Tommy Lee closing. That's a really impressive throw. Great heads-up play here just to keep the disc alive. And oh, while we're at it, I mean, this is like the perfect conservation of greatness throw, right? I just made a great play. Everybody's fired up. Now I'm going to make a terrible huck. And he doesn't do that. He makes maybe one of the best throws of the whole game.
Ransom feeling confident. He played some O-line last week against San Jose in the place of Mark Elbogan. And you can see on my stat sheet here, I was told before the game he's got a good flick huck. So the scouting report was accurate.
Yeah. It pays to do your research, folks.
Recent graduate from UCSB. Another young kid from Santa Barbara.
Happy, well-adjusted, good-looking, successful at Ultimate. It's the Santa Barbara credo.
Well, the Seattle credo is don't get flustered. And yet, last night and tonight, we've seen it again. And how about that play by Koshin Wong? First time we've mentioned him tonight, the Taiwanese import. Koshin Wong from Taiwan came to tryouts. And this disc going long again, off the hands of Barnett.
Ooh, I think that might be a foul. Contact right as he's putting his hand on the disc. Guess it's going to be a no call. It sure looked like Ted Barnett had first touch. Contact was right around when he might have caught it. But I think Ted probably knows that he missed the catch.
Randolph was the defender. This is Beener pivoting through the double.
Wow.
Sam Pickle.
The defense downfield just looks fantastic. Even when guys like right here, we got the disc in power position and no one is open deep. Nobody's even going away.
Well, one team has scored 4 in a row and the other team is playing its fourth half of the last 26 hours. And playing a half in the AUDL is no easy task.
It's so exhausting. And, you know, last night, right around this time, look at this throw.
That was a dime. Bryson Simon Fox connecting with Sam Pickle.
Sam Pickle shoots a free throw to Mitch Steiner's dunk.
Fundamentals.
Fundamentals, y'all.
So that Seattle hopes will stifle the bleeding a little bit. They score with 3:57 a goal to go. It's their first goal in almost 6 minutes of game action.
And look at Koshin Wong explode on that quick upline shot. Clean D. And here's the shot. Io backhand steps in, gets a nice angle, and just drills it.
Good form.
Very nice. Bend your knees.
How about the Cleveland Cavaliers extending the NBA season at least one more day?
Adam Silver very happy. All the corporate sponsors fired up. Draymond Green not so happy.
Yeah. Some interesting aftermath to last night's battle.
I sure thought Draymond Green had 2 technicals. I was very interested to figure out the explanation of how in the world was he not ejected.
Well, sometimes it feels like he always has a technical or 2.
Yeah, he's one of those guys.
Looking forward to watching Game 5 on Monday night.
Does the AUDL have a guy like that? Like one of those Dennis Rodman, Draymond Green, Ron Artest?
It's a good question.
Cole Sullivan, maybe? He's a little radioactive at times. Dude can ball.
But you want him on your team just like you want Draymond on your team.
Oh, for sure.
That's Friedman not reading the poach properly, intended for listener. Seattle comes up with a D. And an opening for the Cascades if they could throw a counterpunch here.
It just looked tired cutting. I mean, this is such a big field, and these deep cuts have to be there. Even if they're not getting thrown to, if they're not making viable deep cuts, It allows LA to just collapse in, pressure every throw just like that, nothing easy.
Once again, cutting under the upline throw. This time it was Listener for the block.
Yeah, somehow lays out over to the shoulder without
and then
fouling.
Beatty, a fastball to Friedman. Eli Friedman with a sigh of relief after the turnover that gave Seattle the disc.
Yeah, this is starting to get ugly if you're Seattle. I mean, this has always been a momentum game. LA's carrying a lot of momentum. Still got almost 3 minutes left in the third quarter. And the bad news is if you get out of this and keep it within 3, I mean, they still got to dig their way all the way back and close out on the fourth. That's a lot to ask of guys on the back end of a doubleheader with a short roster.
Well, that's the thing. They're certainly within striking distance, but it's, do they have the fuel on the second day of a back-to-back?
Wow, look at that. So a little chatter there on Listener's D. I'm not sure. It looked awfully clean in the replay. Cascades player thought maybe.
How about Beatty rocking the mark left and then rifling that flick?
Oh, yeah.
For Friedman. So, I mean, around this time last night, Chuck, about 2.5 minutes to go in the third, Seattle led 17-10. Tonight, same spot, they trailed by 3. They had a 3-goal lead early. Aviators have rallied back as we expected they would. And we wonder if Seattle can put together enough clean offensive points to stay within striking distance heading into the fourth. Simon thought about it. He had 6 assists in the first half. Simon, not any so far in the second.
Wow.
Tremendous speed from Sean McDougall.
I mean, that foot race did not look too good for Seattle. I think that's the kind of shot you got to take. When you're tired, you're not going to be able to grind. You're not going to be able to complete 10 passes.
Going the other way. Los Angeles in control, and they forced it in there, and it worked out anyway. Holy cow. Off the hands of Jacob Bartholomew and caught by Zach Theodore. Just how they drew it up.
Yeah, that Zach Theodore running away from everybody. Probably should have waited and let one of these guys close it out, but decides to throw and go. And just a little freestyle exhibition here to finish it out. Nice toe tap by Jack. And what an expression, man.
For the record, Bartholomew does not get an assist for that.
That's correct.
Even with the Mac.
They're having a good time.
Padula takes the assist. Another break for the Aviators, who have outscored Seattle in this third quarter 7-2.
Yeah, Seattle needs to get out of this quarter. I mean, they just need to hopefully score here and just,
oh goodness. It's all Aviators right now. Barnett just a yard shy of the Callahan, and one throw later, Severson punctuates the quick defensive break.
Just went from bad to worse. I mean, just an awkward cross-field pass to Fawn. Picked off. And now it's time for the Scuba. This is rough. This is rough if you're a Seattle fan.
Aviators now lead by 5. And you see fans' reaction. Just nothing he could do. Didn't attack it. Didn't really see Barnett coming, and the disc floated. Barnett to Severson. You get a break and only 15 seconds come off the clock. I think that says more about the O-line than it does the D-line in a lot of cases.
Yeah, you know, and the fatigue isn't just physical, it's mental, and you're starting to see that a little bit. I mean, that's essentially a mental error.
There's still a lot of time left. Certainly when you talk about the great comebacks in AUDL history, you start with the Seattle Cascades as Burton, with a stall count rising, shoots it to the end zone and it'll work out.
I mean,
Tommy Lee runs it down. 58 seconds to go in the quarter.
How good is Mark Burton? I mean, after they just get lit up over and over and over again, everybody's tired. There's really not even a viable open side cut. Tommy Lee releases to the break side, and Mark does enough to get a giant bladey backhand huck. That, oh, by the way, it's not like everybody else's bladey backhand. It's perfect. It's very catchable. It's right on target. Mark Burton, how can you not be impressed with this guy?
He's one of the best in the league at throwing his receivers open.
Yeah, totally. I mean, he makes Tommy Lee look like an elite, like he just made an elite cut. Hell, Tommy Lee just rolled out of bed, caught a goal.
You know, Burton's not going to give up. With Adam Simon, the captain's directing traffic. There's no coach of this Seattle team. Exton Titcomb, the GM. Burton, Khalif Al-Salam, Bryson Simon Fox, Tommy Lee, Ben Snell, and Adam Simon make up the leadership group. Some Seattle veterans like Mario O'Brien and Donnie Clark, Sam Harkness, Will Chen have played for the Cascades this year, but those guys obviously not here this weekend. LA will get the disc to start the fourth. They're looking perhaps for a double score. They're going to try to score fast. Doy to the end zone. Beatty's got it.
That was Doy on the throw?
I believe so.
Real nice setup here. So here's the catch. Watch the legs get set. I'm continually impressed with just kind of the footwork, the lower body work of Tom Doy. Really gets his legs into that and drops it in there, blades it in there, so it goes up and comes down. Lots of power. You can see, I mean, you can really see the difference. You see why this guy is that world-class, all-world style player.
Won a gold medal with the USA Open team at WGC in London last year. I think a name that not as many people knew compared to Bo Kittredge, Cassidy Rasmussen, Goose Helton, Jimmy Mickle. Tom Doy made a name for himself. Certainly showed he deserved to be on that team. 7 seconds to go. Burton down to 4. Lets it rip. Will it come back in? Oh, that was ridiculous. How did he do that?
That is some big boy ultimate from Mark Burton. Does it again, just throws his guy open. Perfect throw. Another one of those down-the-line gems that we saw so many of last night. I mean, this guy's the Roger Federer of Ultimate Frisbee.
This is as impressive of a throw with the time winding down as I think I've ever seen.
This is crazy. He is not open. He is not open. And oh, by the way, there's no space.
Any additional float on that, and it's easily D'd up.
And he clap catches it. I mean, that's the Mark Burton special. Hey, if you cut deep and Mark Burton throws it to you going to the end zone, the good news is you're going to clap catch it because there's no need to do anything. When Mark throws, it's a goal.
They've actually added a couple seconds to the clock, so that wasn't a buzzer beater. It would have been Seattle's second buzzer beater in 3 quarters. Remember, Duffel hit Montoya at the end of the first.
This is a little bit like what we saw from Khalif El-Salam last night. When everybody started to slow down, when the throws weren't quite there, we saw Khalif do some stuff just with the disc that opened up guys, that like created angles to the break side, created I.O. lanes, through backhand, stepping around the mark, and just using some of that real talent that he has to throw guys open. And now we're seeing Mark do the same thing. So like we've been saying, Seattle will not quit and they will not beat themselves. They're hanging in here. And 4 points, I mean, for how bad this quarter just went for them,
it's true.
For how well LA was playing, they're still within 4. That's a win.
Beatty lets it rip. It's not going to make the end zone. And Bryson Simon Fox will pad his stats with another D. The Cascades score the final goal of the frame, but it was the Aviators who dominated quarter number 3. Seattle led 12-11 at the half. But as we take the turn for home, it's the Aviators 20 and the Cascades 16. We'll be back with fourth quarter action after this. 2016 Los Angeles leads Seattle as we head to the fourth. Evan Lepler, Chuck Kindred along with you here from Occidental College. It's gone final in the Bay Area. San Francisco improves to 7-2 with a 27-19 victory over San Jose. A game that the FlameThrowers dominated in the first half and won by a comfortable margin. So San Francisco at 7-2. Every other team in this division, Chuck, has at least 3 losses. And the Aviators could rise into third place and into playoff position with a win here. But still some business to take care of. 12 minutes on the clock. What's the key for LA to close this puppy up?
It's just about running hard. I mean, Seattle cannot keep up with you if you're running full speed. You know, possess the disc and run hard, especially on D. But, you know, it's a 53-yard wide field. Use the full width of the field. Almost treat it like zone offense in college. You know, just say, hey, if you're going to try to shut us down, you are going to have to go for a tour around this field. And just know that your legs will win out.
Seattle begins the quarter on D, trailing by 4. Their 8th quarter of the weekend. That's a daring shot. Will it stay in bounds? No, it won't. By the way, we talk so much about the players in these doubleheader back-to-back weekends. Are you feeling okay? It's your 8th quarter of the weekend, too, and I'm not sure you were quite your 100% peak game shape.
Hey, you know, I'm a little jaundiced. I feel like my hair is not great. I'm hanging in there.
I think you're too humble. Your hair's looking fine tonight.
Oh, thanks, man.
Insight, hair, humor, the whole package. Here's Randolph. Takes a shot. Montoya and Keoy, shoulder to shoulder. Keoy goes down. Montoya's got the goal.
I like it. Keoy's out of control, has no right to that space. Montoya plays the body. I got no problem with that.
Looks like Montoya made his case. Keoy said, yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, Keoy's not looking. That's the problem, is Keoy is not looking. He's just kind of running. And, you know, as a defender, it's your job to make a clean play. You're coming from out of position. And, you know, if you're out of control, that's on you.
So Randolph to Montoya for the Cascades break. The first of 4 Seattle will need to tie this puppy up.
Yeah, I mean, what you don't want to do is what LA just did on that point, give an easy turnover to Seattle. Seattle can't earn breaks, okay? They don't have the legs to earn breaks and then score it.
Yeah.
So you got to make open throws, no loose deep shots. I mean, ideally, just keep grinding, keep getting open under. You're going to get open under.
It was a questionable choice by Beatty, who launched it deep, a little out of control, and no one ever had a chance to catch it as it sailed wide of the field. Better possession so far this point for the Aviators.
Wow. Tight little angle there from Doy.
Zach Smith running hard defensively. This just going up for Friedman. He's got it.
Nice hold there from LA.
It's fun to watch Eli Friedman play, whether he's a handler or a cutter. And I think I like him in the split role because he's fun to watch him do both.
Right, and you know, sometimes you'll see him when they're putting pressure on him on the dump, he'll just release downfield. And you know, the problem with him is you know, look at this. You probably don't want him downfield either. So it's one of those guys, pick your poison. He's an excellent handler, very creative with the disc. And he's also great in space.
Another assist for Eric Lissner, putting it right on the spot. Ted Barnett getting ready to pull. Jacob Bartholomew hasn't made too many plays tonight, but a guy that the Aviators are incredibly excited about. He started out as a B teamer at UCLA after he walked on to the Bruins track team, ran the 800 there. The strategy with him on a turn, they say, is basically just try to outthrow him because usually he'll be able to run it down.
It's true. If you throw it flat and out into space, you're probably good. Because, I mean, the 800, that is a long sprint. So he's going to just keep getting faster, keep chewing up the track.
LA's Zach Shackner, who had the cancer scare, had surgery, back on the Aviators sideline tonight, trying to get back into shape. He says he's been running with Bartholomew, and that's not really the best way to get back into shape.
Yeah.
Doesn't always make him feel too good running alongside a guy like that. Seattle into the red zone and then giving it away.
Great pressure from LA. I mean, that's big. You know, the last thing Seattle wants to do right now is play D. They need to punch that in and get back to the water bottle.
Barnett picks up. Nice job denying the easy reset there by Fox. Now it's Koshin Wong. Really interesting story. Just showed up to tryouts. Taiwanese government helping to sponsor his time in the U.S. playing with the Aviators. Every completion here gets Los Angeles between 3 and 5 seconds closer to a win.
Oh, yeah. And if you're on the field, if you're downfield, just cut hard. Do not hang out. You know, do not catch your breath in the stack. Keep running. Make these defenders work. It doesn't matter if you get the disc.
I believe it was an official timeout because of some contact downfield. Henry Fan and Ted Barnett collided, and each of them were a little shaken up. They're both staying in the game, though. This is Bartholomew. You see Bartholomew take off.
Yeah, it's a little terrifying. I mean, that's, you know, that used to be the, in a pinch, Bo Kittredge in the dump position, throw and go up line. Nobody could stop that.
Goodbye.
Yeah, see ya.
And again, a pick downfield. And that's Tommy Lee, who's had such a great weekend for Seattle.
Yeah, really impressive weekend. I'm kind of glad the refs are calling these picks as well.
Tommy Lee went to Claremont College, where he was teammates with Markham Schaffner of the DC Breeze. They led Claremont to a D3 national title in 2011. Bartholomew finds his man in the end zone. Bartholomew to Cole. And the Aviators back up by 5.
Great to get some production from, you know, some of the younger guys, some of the newer guys on LA.
Yes, indeed.
Future is bright in LA.
And it's amazing how much energy it gives everyone on the team when you get an uncommon connection for a goal. Like Tom Doyle to Eli Friedman, you see that. That's standard. You expect that. When you get Bartholomew to Cole, then you're feeling pretty good about your whole team and its depth.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun. You know, it's kind of a program boost to get production out of your younger guys.
It was like back in like 08 when a young Joel Schlockett hit a young Chuck Kindred for a goal.
Right.
You know?
It's like a May, November to goal.
And you know, 10 years later, you got Joel, still one of the best players in the world, and you stuck here up with me.
Chuck talking about one of the best players in the world.
Which is still pretty fun. It's not a bad deal.
It's a good time. Plus, you don't have to be in shape or stretch. Two of my least favorite things.
Cascades staring an 0-2 weekend in the face. And there's just miscommunication.
Yeah, that's the mental fatigue. I mean, just, oh, wow.
Overly ambitious. Theodore is fast, but that disc was not catchable.
Yeah, you might want to make that a high release flick, seeing as how he was literally cutting from behind you when you threw it.
Chatting with some of the Seattle guys before the game today, they really feel like they lost the game in the first quarter last night because they played poorly in the first quarter, stretches of the first half. This is Randolph turning on the Jets. He'll get there. Randolph, we've seen his handling ability. I'm not sure we've seen him let it loose like that. And, well, you know what, son? Maybe another time.
That was kind of funny.
Monday, maybe.
Yeah.
He's still young. He's got time.
He's going to...
Pretty good wheels right there.
That was, I mean, it's good to be 18, right?
Yes.
It's the end of a long weekend.
But, he'll get faster.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, geez. He hasn't even really started to make huge gains from like an off-season lifting program, and his strength and conditioning is going to take him to a whole nother level, hopefully a little higher than this one.
He's like, I can't let it end like that.
That's good stuff.
So it feels like LA is totally in control, and yet 4 goals, 7 minutes to go. We've seen crazier stuff happen.
Oh, for sure.
LA keeps possession alive. You know, it's interesting, Chuck. Early in the game, it was Wynn and George. Lately, it's been Doy and Friedman and the D-line. And that disc, couple targets there, both Wynn and George, as a matter of fact, and neither of them could come down with it.
That's a big-time D. I mean, that was a big one. George there had the first look at the disc. It wasn't a great look, right? But, I mean, you're tired, and you're closing the gap and trying to get up big, and they, and Seattle gets the block. I feel like that's pretty significant.
A Seattle break here would certainly change the complexion of the final half of the final quarter tonight.
Listener almost puts a foot on that around.
Bailey left hands it. And this is Beener in the middle of the field.
And just seeing how Seattle, I mean, basically these guys are playing from training and muscle memory at this point. They're exhausted. It's been a long week.
Seattle sideline was concerned that Beener wouldn't get rid of it, so they called timeout from the sideline. 5:45 to go. Cascades looking to punch in a break with the O-line guys returning. Here's the D.
And this is kind of the difference between a team that, is looking for a way out and a team that absolutely never quits, never stops believing. And Seattle will never go away. Seattle will never go away. And they're never going to let that uncontested throw. So, I mean, you're going to watch other teams as you look around the league, teams that have worse records, that don't have a tradition of success, and you'll see a similar play like that, and the guy will kind of pull up, and he'll kind of, clap his hands. Ah, shoot, I got a bad read on that. I didn't quite see it in time, or you know what, my foot hurt, or what. They're going to come off with all kinds of excuses. And Bailey goes up and gets the block. I mean, you got to go up and get the block, and that's kind of a belief thing. These guys are tired, long day. No, really, a narrow window here for them to win, so it may be that you get the D and then they punch it in 2 throws later. But it really doesn't matter. You just never quit. No excuses. Play like a champion, Evan.
Well, this is a Seattle team that led by 6 at the half yesterday, led by 1 at the half today. And if you lead back-to-back games on the road at the half and can't get a win in either of them, it's a punch in the gut.
Yeah, it's a test, isn't it? Hard not to give up, hard not to get down on yourselves. So it's even more impressive just to see these guys making a go of it. Big shot to the break side.
Fox back to Burton. Simon still looking for his first assist of the second half. He had 6 of them in the first half. And there we go. The Cascades break. Simon to Bryson Simon Fox. Don't look now, but it's a 3-score game, and the pressure shifting back to L.A.
100%. And, Burton just sits down on this flick, shreds one more mark, one more time on a high-percentage shot to the break side.
I said Simon to Fox. It was Burton to Simon Fox, obviously.
Hey, that's confusing for anyone. But, yeah, I mean, It's just like at the end of the fourth, or at the end of the third quarter, I mean, they played horrible. LA rolled them. They're still only down 4. Now they're actually down 3. They come out, they're exhausted. Things aren't necessarily going their way, but they've narrowed the gap. I mean, Seattle has a championship pedigree. They've got elite talent, and I think their mental game and their energy, you know, has always carried them and will continue to do that. And this is this is the defending Western Division champ. Let's not forget that.
Tom Doy on the under. Back to Beatty. Listener takes the easy reset. LA's offense trying to salt this game away. Under 5 minutes to play. A dominant third quarter put the Aviators in position to prevail.
Seattle defense just hanging on here, just doing enough not to give these guys an open look at the end zone. Can LA endure?
George finally gets a touch. Smith on the mark. 6 yards from the end zone. Listener. Back to Keoy. Back to Listener. Pretty impressive red zone D here.
It's great. It's great. They're doing, they're taking away the catastrophic looks one at a time. They're making sure to not get beat up line, but then they get beat up line.
Patience prevails, and finally Brent George finds a seam, and the Aviators retake a 4-score lead.
Yeah, Brent George did the right thing on that point. Keep cutting. Keep cutting. I know you're tired and they're not throwing to you. Keep cutting. Don't let these Seattle guys rest. And literally, he got a quit out of his defender. You can see him on the left side of your screen, number 3. He's gonna release up line here. And I mean, it was just too much. I mean, geez, you defend 20 cuts. And then he makes one more up line, and it's just, it's too much. That's the huge advantage that LA has and has had this whole second half, is if we're running full speed and we don't turn it over, we're going to win. That's it.
These two teams will see each other again in just a few weeks. On Sunday, June 25th, Seattle will host LA. It's 2 weeks away, as a matter of fact. 2 weeks from tomorrow. Cascades go to Vancouver next weekend.
You can tell Chicken is tired because he's throwing without setting a pivot foot.
Is that his giveaway?
I think he's too exhausted to stop.
Time's starting to become a factor now. Closing in on 3 minutes to go for the Cascades, who I think have showed a bunch of good things this weekend. Just not enough in the tank. A little bit too much sauce on the throw from Adam Simon.
Hey, that's great hard from Hauser, though. I mean, he's tired. That is a tough throw. It's trailing away from him. And you can tell, if he's got fresh legs, he's probably able to put a more explosive bit on that disc. But bidding is one of the most tiring, one of the most explosive movements you can do to get extension. He just didn't have it. His legs were done.
Chuck, with a win, LA would improve to 5-4, rising into third place. There's Bartholomew's nuclear speed. And he'll pick up his second assist in the second half. You saw Bartholomew hit the turbo button for just a second, and you saw what he's capable of.
You did, and I mean, like we said, he ran the 800, right? He's not the 100-yard dash. He's an 800-meter sprinter. So essentially, just throw it hard and fast, and he'll run right alongside it.
Another goal for Padula.
Talked to Mark Elbogan before the game. He said he thinks, here's that great bid by Hauser, just not enough left in the tank. He thinks Stig might be able to win a 40-yard sprint. but that anything longer than that, there's no doubt that Bartholomew is going to have him for lunch.
Los Angeles will be off next weekend. They go to the Pacific Northwest for Vancouver on Saturday, June 24th, and then Seattle on Sunday, June 25th. And LA has 2 more games with San Diego, one here, one on the road. And they close their season home against San Jose. And a game that, if LA plays well, could be for second place. Who knows what's going to happen?
They have the firepower.
Up the line to Smith. So the Cascades get a quick goal. They're within 4 with 2:02 to play.
And nice up the line look here from Burton. Much needed goal. And a quick one at that. You know, Seattle, there's still plenty of time. What you need is you need LA to kind of take some shots. If LA really possesses the disc, swings it around, resets early and often, uses that 7-second stall and just keeps throwing in the first half, it's probably a done deal. But hey, this is LA.
Yep.
They like to pull the trigger.
The Seattle team went all the way to the championship game of championship weekend last year, winning a playoff game on the road here in LA and then beating San Francisco on this field and knocking off Madison in the miraculous comeback fashion. I'm curious to ask you, if you had to hypothesize which 4 teams will be in Montreal in late August this year, who do you think? It's so difficult with so many close races right now. Are you leaning 4 different ways? 8 different ways?
It's tough because there's the chalk picks and then there's the teams I would love to see, and they're almost uniformly not the same teams, It's a fun year. I mean, normally it's mostly clear who's going to be there.
What's
right?
Chuck's ideal favorite championship weekend?
Oh, baby. I want to see San Jose in there. I want to see Pittsburgh in there. I want to see Jacksonville in there.
Wow. Toronto, DC, or Montreal, or?
I mean, I want to see New York, all right? I'm not a math guy, but I want to see New York. I want to see.
I mean, they're going to have to play much better in the second half of their season. Friedman to Listener. That's the cherry on top of the Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, New York, I want to see my Bash brother, my checking line brother. I want to see Jeff Babbitt play on the biggest stage. This guy.
He's your Bash brother?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we've never met. Let me be clear. We've never met.
I didn't think so.
But we're best friends. It's just a matter of time. I mean, the guy's unreal. He's built like a truck. He can run. He can lay out.
So that's where you and Babbitt see eye to eye, because you're kind of built like a 18-wheeler too.
Yeah, we are not ultimate builds. Let's put it that way. We're not ultimate builds. We were made to move heavy stones or, Sisyphusian type tasks. That's what we're for.
So New York, Pittsburgh, San Jose, and Jacksonville is your dream Final Four.
Oh, yeah.
What is your chalkier Final Four, if you had to speculate right now?
I'll take Madison, again, out of the Midwest. I'll take D.C., Raleigh, and San Francisco.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah?
I got that right.
That would be pretty good, too. That disc sails over the head of Root as he mistimes his jump.
I think unless Nethercutt gets hurt, Raleigh rolls. I mean, I think he's just so much trouble.
They've got an army of defensive athletes, Hunter Taylor, David Richardson. We've seen what Terrence Mitchell can do.
Oh, man.
They're adding Jack Williams and J.D. Hastings, Jacob Fairfax playing so well.
Yeah. Have fun with that, South Division.
Raleigh, big winner earlier tonight. The Aviators, though, take care of business through the final 3 quarters this evening. That score is not going to count. Burton not able to pad the stats with one last strike. A frustrating weekend for Seattle. They led at the half in both San Diego and LA, and yet they come out of their SoCal swing 0-2 as the Growlers come from behind miraculously last night, and this evening LA, after trailing 9-6 after one, really controlled the flow of the game the rest of the way.
Yeah, really impressive night. I think the future is bright for this franchise. Looking at Eli Friedman and Tom Doy and Ace, let's not forget Ace, maybe the MVP of the game. You cannot believe.
Great energy.
Yeah, how much fun he's been. Here's this Wong with the D underneath.
Yeah, Adam Simon was spectacular in the first half, but LA slowed him down in the second half. An impressive weekend for Tommy Lee. But it's the Cascades that lose twice on the road. They're back to the 500 mark at 4-4, currently tied with San Diego for the 4 spot. But remember, the Growlers have the tiebreaker after back-to-back wins over the Cascades. So it's San Francisco 1, San Jose 2, LA 3, San Diego 4, Seattle 5 in the West. As we wrap up Week 11. For Chuck Kindred, Evan Leffler saying so long from Los Angeles, where the Aviators take it 25-20.